Yeah, what's happening? What's shaking? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome y'all to another video, another vlog. I realize it's been an extremely long time, but look, we are here with another one. You know what I'm saying? By the time that y'all check this video out, it will be at the top of 2026. So I want to just say Happy New Year's, and welcome to another one, you feel me? So look, I've had visions of doing and putting this project together for an extremely long time, right? So for this particular project and this particular vlog, I decided that I wanted to go somewhere to where it's extremely cold and it's snow everywhere and it's beautiful landscapes and mountains and, you know, all the things. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome y'all to Norway. So look, you already know we gotta go ahead and get the official business out the way up front. If y'all could go ahead and hit them notification bells, hit that little bell, so this way you are always tracking when another Gizinternational video is dropping. You can catch that thing as soon as it's happening, you know what I'm saying? If y'all could, go ahead and subscribe to your boy's channel. All you gotta do is hop on YouTube and the space bar, type in G space IZ space International. You'll find me right there. Go ahead and subscribe to that thing. And also, if you could, go ahead and hop on Instagram and follow your boy at the same name, at Gizinternational. You heard? Again, I just want to say thank y'all for, you know, investing your valuable time and, you know, taking time to check out another adventure, another video, another vlog. You know, it really took a lot out of me, you know, a lot of self-work to, you know, be comfortable to even get back in this space, to get back in front of a camera and, you know, provide y'all another video and vlog, you know what I'm saying? So for giving me some of your time, I just want to say I truly appreciate it. With all that being said, I think I'm gonna structure this vlog a little bit differently. I think this vlog can get very lengthy, just trying to contain, you know, this entire adventure. You know, Norway is home of Norse mythology. It is famous for being the homeland of the world-renowned Vikings. And you know what? I wanted to go out of my way to go to the home of where the Vikings were from and, you know, really learn as much authentic information that I absolutely positively can. So with this vlog, I think here's how I'm gonna handle this. I think I'm gonna do a part 1 and I'm gonna do a part 2, and they will be 2 totally self-contained segments. And then once all of those have been done, I then think I'm going to combine the whole shebang and give it to y'all. But for now, I think we're just gonna keep this part 1, and I think we're just gonna call this and do some chasing of some Viking history. You know what I'm saying? So with this vlog, I hope y'all enjoy the adventure. What I'm finna do, the hotel, they provided me with some champagne. You know what I'm saying? They provided your boy with some champagne. I am going to open this thing. We are here in Norway. I'm gonna pour it in my cup. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pour a little bit in my cup. You know what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go get me something to eat. And tomorrow, we gonna get this adventure going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 1 of us being out here in Norway and chasing Vikings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So We are out here in beautiful Oslo, right? And our first stop in our quest of searching for some good Viking history, some good Viking lore, brings us right outside of this building behind me, which is the Oslo Historical Museum. Now, this museum in particular apparently houses many different exhibitions, many different sections, but obviously it's only one that I'm particularly very interested in and want to go see, and that exhibition is called the Viking Age exhibition. So, I ain't gonna talk too much. Let's go ahead and get inside and check this thing out, you feel me? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back outside the museum after having explored that thing, you feel me? Yo, I'll say that was pretty dope, you know what I'm saying? That was your typical textbook museum experience, right? Very quiet, students all over the place, artifacts all over the place, very typical museum shenanigans. Like I said, there were many different exhibitions up there. They had exhibitions, you know, ranging from things like the Stone Age, religion, Middle Age and medieval times, and then, you know, obviously, like I said, the big one that I wanted to see was the Viking Age exhibition. Now, when it comes to that particular exhibition, right, again, it was very small. You could probably check that thing out maybe in like 20-30 minutes. Very, very small, you know what I'm saying? They did have artifacts that were found, you know, in Norway's region, you know, primarily from a lot of grave sites, artifacts found within grave sites like helmets, swords, and things of that. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it was very, in my opinion, limited, you know what I'm saying? And it was very quick, you know, it wasn't really too interactive, but, you know, it was pretty cool just to kind of, you know, see some of those artifacts, you know, see some of these things that came from, you know, these grave sites around, you know, Norway's region and whatnot. So pretty cool, you know, it did what it needed to do, you feel what I'm saying? So with all that said, let's keep this thing pushing. Okay, y'all, so our next destination brings us to another really dope museum. Now, this museum is called the Viking Planet. And I think what's super special about this particular museum is that everything is digital, you know what I'm saying? It's not like your prototypical museums where, you know, they got exhibitions and actual like artifacts for you to, you know, put your hands on and look at. Everything is digital. It's supposed to be this really interactive experience that recreates a lot of things for you to actually kind of immerse yourself within the museum. So I'm absolutely excited. Let's get inside, go check this thing out. Let's go. We are back outside, fam. I must say, that was absolutely fire. That has to be at least one of the top 5, top 3 museums that I've ever been in. You know, the whole digital and immersive thing was absolutely real, and I absolutely loved it. Yo, they had a lot of stuff that was VR, where you put like the headset on and you are literally immersed in what they're trying to show you and what they're bringing to you. There was this one to where they was like telling the story, and you know, you were on this Viking long ship and you was going into a raid and arrows was coming at you, and I'm sure I looked crazy because I was in there tweaking, on top of the fact I've never really done no like VR crazy stuff before. I mean, it was off the wall. It was off the wall. The videos that they were showing was fire. You know, I mean, everything was just top notch. I've literally never been to a museum like that. And I mean, that was, as I've said numerous times, plenty of times in a lot of vlogs, right? Fire, nothing left to really describe. Now, while the Viking Planet is a pretty cool, very dope museum, very popular out here in Oslo, there is another museum that I definitely would have liked to go check out, the Viking Ship Exhibition and Museum. Apparently, it's closed and won't be open till 2027, but fortunately within the Viking Planet, again, because everything is an immersive digital experience, right, they do have video 3D simulators for you to actually check out that museum within the Viking Planet. But yo, if you are in the Oslo area, if you are on the hunt for Viking history, please go check out the Viking Planet. Let's keep this thing pushing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have found ourselves at another Viking museum. Now, I know you're like, what, another museum? But no, I think this one is super cool, right? To whereas the lap museums was just straight exhibits and things inside the exhibit. This one, of course, there's some similarities to that. But y'all see that building behind me? Fam, that is an actual Viking longhouse. Longhouse being like the main place where like the Jarl or the chieftain stayed, and you know, they had feasts and celebration and all this type of stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Supposedly they went ahead and redone the insides to make it look like what it used to look like back in the day. You feel what I'm saying? But yo, you absolutely know we got to go check that thing out. So yo, let's head inside and check out the Loftton Viking Museum. Alright y'all, so we are back from exploring the inside of the Loftton Viking Museum. Yo, that was fire. That was very nice. That was very nice. I liked it because, you know, they had multiple sides to the museum, right? You had like your actual factual, what you would think of when you think of museums, like everything that we've seen thus far. But you also had the longhouse, and where they recreated everything inside, and at the very far side of the longhouse, you know, they had that piece, that small piece dedicated to Viking lore and Viking history. And I must say, yo, that's pretty fire. It's crazy because obviously I've only ever seen the longhouse, and
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? So to see one, to be able to stand in front of one, I mean, that's pretty dope, and you know, I'm super excited. In regards to the museum, you know, it was dope to, you know, find artifacts that they found in the area, you know what I'm saying, as well as grave sites in the area that was dug up. Items from 6th century time frame. It was interesting to learn more lore and history about the Vikings, you know what I'm saying. It was cool to go into their religion and Norse mythology, you know, even though I already know kind of a little bit about it, but to be in a place, you know, to where it's widely spoken about, you know what I'm saying, talking about Odin and Freya and Loki and Thor, and you know, talking about the different realms and things like that, you know, Asgard, Midgard, Jotunheim. I mean, that was, you know, it's absolutely fire, you know, talking about the world serpent snake, Jormungandr, you know what I'm saying, like all that was just, it was just super fire, yo. And this is, you know, I'm super glad I've, you know, been able to check something like this out. All right, y'all, let's keep this thing pushing, you feel me? All right, y'all, so as we keep this thing pressing forward and continue in our search of Viking history and continuing to do our best to immerse ourselves in Viking culture and history and do all our things, we find ourselves at another museum. Now, this museum is a real live, open air, live museum. We find ourselves in a place called Gudv, but more specifically, the small Viking village of Narhan. Now, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm extremely excited, you know what I'm saying? We've been able to dive into, you know, some Viking stuff, you know, via museums and stuff like that, but you know, I am super excited to be at this place. Why? Because this is an open air village slash museum where they have recreated what life was actually like living in an actual Viking town. You know, it's not really about, you know, them being outside and raiding and doing all that cool stuff. It's about what normal Viking life was in a very small village. So I'm absolutely excited. I'm actually standing right outside the entrance to the village, so you know, I ain't gonna keep talking too much. I'm ready to get inside that thing. Let's go see what's happening inside there, you dig? All right, y'all, so we're back outside. We just finished up, you know, just walking through the village and exploring that village. Yo, that was fire. There's nothing left to say. That was fire, yo. That was absolutely fire. Just to, you know, to be able to walk through the village and talk with the people inside and, you know, see real life artifacts, you know, see weaponry, see how, you know, how they put clothes on their back, you know, some of the food that they would eat, you know what I'm saying? Seeing the longhouse, you know, that their chieftain stayed in. mean, yo, it was phenomenal, fam. I even got to throw an axe. Yo, that was top tier, fam. That was top tier. I mean, if you couldn't tell, if you in the area, fam, I would definitely recommend, you know, coming to check this thing out, because this is, whew. And fam, this village is surrounded by mountains. Yo, I mean, fam, look at this. Look, how can I look at this, fam? Look at this. Yeah, nothing else really needs to be said. If you're in the area, come check it out, you feel me? Come check it out. All right, y'all, so generally when I do these vlogs, I like to, you know, take time to try and incorporate, you know, food, you know, tasting some of the local food, and that's exactly what I'm here to do. Right now, I'm at this place called the Æir Brew Pub. So this restaurant is located out here in Flam, and it's a very unique place, right? Because it has this Viking-inspired kind of ambiance, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so what y'all see sitting right here in front of me is the main dish of the night. Now, this is called a Viking plank, and this is a real traditional Norwegian dish out here. There is 5 different dishes, and there are 5 different beers to go along with it. So, hope y'all don't mind me. I'm finna get busy, you heard? Ciao. Done. Absolutely done. Done. Yo, as you can see, bruh, tore this dish up. I mean, this thing was hitting. I'd like to say the soup, by far the best. One thing that has been consistent since I've been out in this country is, yo, Norwegians make some really, really good soup, yo. They make some fire soup out of all this, the meats, all this. The soup is by far my favorite. You feel me? All right, fam. So look, I just had me 5 beers to go with that amazing meal. I got me 1 more to go. It's their most popular beer that they got here. Fam, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this back to the crib. I'm nice and full, and we're gonna close part 1 of this vlog out, you heard? So, let's go ahead and get to it. Skål. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Like I said earlier, we are back at our hotel. We are in the Gudv Fjordhotel. Now, this hotel is really super dope. It's really super dope, and I absolutely can't wait for y'all to check this out. Matter of fact, just come check this thing out right now. You feel me? All right, I hope y'all enjoyed the room. I hope y'all loved it. Like, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely
digging the whole Viking aesthetic and theme of the room. I mean, I absolutely loved it. So check it. Yo, if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank y'all for following along the journey and the adventure up till this point. As I said before, there will be 2 different parts. And the reason I broke them down was because I just felt like, you know, let me give them to you separate before I give you this long, combined, drawn out vlog. I felt it would be easier to digest that particular way. This particular vlog, as you all could see, was very centered on us chasing and hunting down and learning as much as about Viking history, Viking culture, immersing ourselves into that scenery and doing all the things. You understand what I'm saying? I would like to assume that maybe during, you know, certain sections of this particular part 1 of this journey, many people could have been like, well, wait a minute, how do you get from this point to this point? And wait a minute, I thought he said he was over here, but now he's over there. Trust me, it'll all make sense in the grand scheme of this thing. Like I said, I just wanted to keep part 1 of this adventure very, very strict to chasing Vikings. So we're gonna go ahead and put the cap on this vlog and close this one out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already done it, if you could go ahead and hit the notification bell so you can get notified when all Gizinternational videos is dropping. If you could go ahead and subscribe to the channel. All you gotta do is hop on YouTube, hit the search bar and type in G space IZ space International. You'll find that handsome brother right there. And then if you got a few more seconds and or minutes, just hop on Instagram and follow your boy at the same name, at Gizinternational. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what y'all think about the vlog. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts, your feelings, what you like, what you didn't like. Leave a thumbs up if you was feeling it. You know, go ahead and throw a thumbs down if you wasn't feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know everything that you thought about it. So until the next vlog, this is Mr. Gizinternational, and I shall see y'all on the next one. Peace. G out.